Really fun show today, talking to one of the big additions to the Wisconsin Badgers basketball program on today's Locked On Badgers.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every day. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Really fun show today. We got AJ Storr coming on. I am very excited for this one. Let's bring AJ in. Thank you so much for joining the show, man.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I want to start here. AJ coming in off a really solid freshman year with St. John's. It looked like about halfway through the year you started 17 games down the stretch, and you really picked up your game. What was that like jumping into the starting lineup, and what do you think helped you pick up your game at that point?
It was definitely a good year for me. Good learning experience, just coming into college, expecting something, but ends up going the other way, but still have to, keep fighting every day. Every day is like a new test in college basketball, really. One day it might be your day, one day it might not be your day. Just keeping that consistency is the most important thing, and starting for me was a big thing to showcase my talent. Unfortunately, one of our players on our team last year got hurt, so that gave me the starting position. So I guess everything happens for a reason.
Well, and one of the questions we had, AJ, we had some people write in with questions. What was the biggest adjustment going from high school basketball to D1 basketball? That's from Big Bucky asking, what's that biggest adjustment?
I really don't see it's an adjustment in just I feel like the speed is a little faster, but besides the speed, it's not really a big adjustment. It's speed and athleticism, really. Players are faster and stronger. So.
And talk to me about one of your best games of the year came late in the year against UConn, scored 20 points. Talk to me about that game and maybe some momentum that gave you going into the offseason.
Yeah, that game was special for me. I had my little brothers there at that game. It was in the Madison Square Garden, so that game was definitely special for me. I already knew I could, showcase my talent on a high level, but that game was like, okay, we just did that against the national champ, so.
Talk to me about shot 40% from three last year. How did St. John's use you offensively? Well, it looked like a lot of punishing teams in zones, getting the ball to you in the corner, in transition. How did they use you offensively?
Oh, yeah, like you said, using me in transition, trying to give me the ball when I'm on the break, very efficient on the break. Catching, shooting, we had a great point guard in Posh Alexander. Loves to drive, so teams will collapse. Just easy kick out threes. So that's really how they use me. A lot of pin downs, a lot of flares, double screens.
And how do you see that game evolving this year? So going from that at St. John's last year to how are Greg Gard and company planning on potentially using you this year for the Badgers?
Really the same way, really. Getting out and using all my abilities, using my shooting abilities, using my athletic abilities, using my decision making. So just all three levels of scoring.
Is that a part of your game that you think it's underrated? That mid-level scoring, because people see the 40% from three, they see your ability to punish the rim, both in transition and off the drive. Is that mid-range part of your game and the decision making something that's underrated about AJ Storr?
Definitely. The mid-range is always open in college basketball because most teams play drop coverage with the big, so that leaves all the middle area open. They either probably going to take the roll or take the lob. If the big man rolls, they probably protect the rim for the lob. So mid-range is always open, so easiest shot, open shot.
Well, and you see that in the NBA playoffs. NBA teams punish defenses in the mid-range. That brings me up to another question here. This is from Andy R. Do you have a favorite NBA player, past or present?
Favorite NBA player is LeBron James. Favorite player to watch is probably Kobe Bryant.
There you go.
Happy birthday, Kobe.
Let me ask you that, because I actually wanted to pivot to this, and this is something Kobe talked about a little bit. In an interview, he talked about kill zones on the court, spots that he could get to where he could do whatever he wanted. Where are you most comfortable offensively on the court?
Everywhere.
Is there something this off season that you really worked hard on in terms of I wanted to level up here, whether it was a specific move, a situation, maybe pick and roll ball handling, whatever it is? Is there something specific you focused in on this off season?
Just really the same thing. I feel like you can't get perfect at nothing. So ball handling, catch and shoot, coming off screens, and the biggest thing is just training the mind mentally there. So
Is there another aspect to your game that you don't think people talk about enough, whether it's defensively or maybe it is as that playmaking aspect? What's an underrated part of your game?
I got to show my athletic ability a little last year, but I didn't get to fully showcase it. Like usually, well, before college, like AAU, people thought of me just as like a slasher, but I can shoot the ball too. So slashing to the rim is something I showcased a little, but haven't really shown the world what I can do yet.
And those two go off each other. Like if you're shooting 40%, but you also have your ability to get to the rim and dunk on people, it gets really hard for defenders. Did you start to see that last year that players were closing out harder and it gave you more of a lane?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like in practice, my coach used to have players like guard me a certain way. Like don't give me no space on the swing, even if the ball swings to the opposite side. Supposed to also be in help side, but players would close out to me all the time because I shot 40%. So just staying right by me and not letting me catch and shoot. So that's what we used to do in practice last year.
And let's talk a little bit about coming into, again, Madison this year. Did Coach Gard and this coaching staff talk about using you in transition more, maybe speeding up a little bit more? Because historically, Wisconsin isn't the team that gets out and runs a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. In practice, we push the ball a lot. Push the ball, get it off the board, push it. If we can score while the defense isn't set up, that's definitely a advantage on our end. So, yeah, pushing the ball in transition, finding the open guy in transition, everybody running their lanes, easy buckets in transition.
Well, and that's something statistically you did really well. 87th percentile in transition scoring, if you look at synergy numbers, which tracks every possession. So that's an area where you were among the better players in college basketball. And it feels like coming into your after a freshman season, you're going to be even better there, a little bigger, stronger. How did the offseason from a strength and conditioning standpoint come about for you?
Definitely. Coach Snides here at Wisconsin is a great strength coach. Really pays attention to details on what players need. He pays attention to every player in their own aspect. We're all different positions, all have different physiques. So, Coach Snides really focused on what you needed as an
Let me ask
individual player.
Yeah, let me ask you about your explosiveness, because that's definitely something, the scouting report, the highlights, it all jumps off the screen. Have you always been a big-time jumper? Is that something you really put a lot of work into, or is that a combination of natural and then all the work you put in?
Yeah, I always been athletic. I was dunking at 13, so I always been athletic. I think that comes from riding bikes all the time when I was younger. Riding bikes, playing outside. So
Do you know what jump soles are? Have you ever heard of a jump sole?
a jump sole.
It's like,
No, I never heard of a jump sole.
yeah, you're lucky you have it. So that's like a platform you put in the front of your shoe you walk around on, and it looks ridiculous. And that's how I tried to dunk when I was a kid. I had jump soles, and I'd run around my neighborhood to try to add 5 inches to my vertical. And It was mostly unsuccessful. We're gonna come back. We're gonna keep talking to AJ Storr. Why Wisconsin? We're gonna talk a little bit about the transfer portal, and then a little bit more into what the goals are for this year's team and how far he thinks Wisconsin can go. We're gonna get into that next on Locked On Badgers with AJ Storr. But first, today's show is brought to you by our good friends over at eBay Motors. AJ would talk about this too. You need the right parts on your team to be a championship contender. That's where eBay Motors comes in. For a championship team, it's all about making sure you have the right players. For a championship car, it's about making sure you have the right parts. That's on eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right. The first time around, just add your ride to my garage and look for the green check mark to make sure the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when you have the right parts and they fit guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. I do want to say thank you to everybody jumping in on this. Really do appreciate everybody listening to the show. And let's just get back into our conversation with AJ Storr here. New Badgers Transfer Portal Edition. AJ, I want to start here. So, again, St. John's last year, at what point did you start thinking the transfer portal may make sense for you?
Really right after the season, after my coach got fired, talked it over with my family and thought it was the best decision for me.
And what is that process like? How many schools reached out? At what point in that process did Wisconsin start to make sense?
A lot of schools reached out, over 30 reached out, but Wisconsin reached out. They were one of the first high majors to reach out. Probably a couple of days into the portal, I would say the third day they reached out.
How do you take that giant, and just I find this fascinating. How do you take that giant group of schools that reaches out, like you said, like 30, and it probably would have been more if you'd waited. How do you take that group of schools and then narrow it down to just a couple choices? Is that a process with your family?
You really just have to look at the program and see where you will fit in at. Yes, like you said, talk it over with your family, talk to the coaches, see what they have planned it for you and take it from there.
And then what was it about Greg Gard in Wisconsin that you said you got to find the place that fits you? What was it about this messaging that said, yeah, this is the place for me?
Number one thing, Wisconsin is just a big college town. A lot of Badger fans out here, a lot of support from the town and Madison alone. Wisconsin is a basketball state. Wisconsin probably was one of the first college basketball team I watched when I was younger. So like 50 minutes away from there. So family is right next to me. Yeah, it was just a good decision overall. Fitting in with the team, I feel like I can help the team out, as far as athleticism, scoring, and just playing my game.
Did Wisconsin recruit you at all out of high school? Was there contact there?
No, it wasn't no contact out of high school.
You give Greg Gard a little bit of crap about that? Like, hey, what's going on, man?
I actually committed to Illinois out of high school, so I was going to play against him.
And now you're playing for him. I love it.
Now I'm playing for him.
Let's talk about the team a little bit. So obviously you were with St. John's last year. Wisconsin, the team didn't live up to the expectations of this program, right? The program here has established a tradition of we go to March, we have runs in the Big Ten. Do you have a feeling around the program that level of disappointment it maybe kind of takes some players off and they're ready to have a really good year?
Oh, yeah, I definitely see it in practice. Everybody's hungry. Everybody want to, reach that goal again that Wisconsin tradition always reach. And just bringing that grit every day in practice, playing with a chip on your shoulder, and just remembering that moment that, they got put out, didn't make it to the tournament. Just remembering that moment and then applying it to the court when you're on the court.
Well, and talk about the practices a little bit. Are there any differences, and not to say one is better than the other, but how St. John's and how Wisconsin are running practice, or the tempo, the competitiveness? Is there anything kind of that stands out? And again, not in a good or bad way necessarily, but what are some differences there?
I would say probably the tempo is different. Probably at St. John's, we play a little faster. We play fast here, but at St. John's, the goal was to just push the ball down the court and score as fast as you can. And here, I could say they pay attention to details more. Coach Gard breaks down everything more. Humor to certain things, execute it. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about your defensive game, because that's obviously a big part of Wisconsin's culture and identity. And then you also have that kind of NBA prototypical 6'6", 6'7", athletic wing body. Are you kind of wanting to step into that role of being that wing stopper on this team and in the Big Ten?
Oh, definitely. That's what I was focused on this offseason, really just becoming a better defender, which is really all effort. So just being more in shape during the offseason, coming in ready to play, ready to guard whoever best player on the other team, whoever coach wants me to guard.
You see me smiling because that gets me excited, man. I want to keep talking about this team here. So I got a couple quick superlative questions. You ready for this? I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah, I'm ready.
One player on the team, Wisconsin's down 2, 5 seconds left. Ball swings into the corner. Who do you want taking that shot?
Me.
Yes, I love it. Let's go. Let's say you're fouled out. You had some bad calls. The refs had it in for you. Then who are you putting in the corner?
Connor.
Yeah, it's a good one. Anybody on the team, and I asked you this off before we got started. Anybody on the team beating you in a dunk contest?
No.
Is anybody
Closest one would
close?
be Marcus. Marcus would be the closest, but I would still beat him.
Is anybody close? How close is Marcus to getting you in something like that?
I think he can probably almost do every dunk I can do, but he probably can't get as high as me while doing the dunks.
Have you ever been in a dunk contest? Out of curiosity, I should have looked that up.
I've been playing around, like, obviously with your friends, but no, I haven't been in a dunk contest yet, seriously. I was supposed to be in one, but I couldn't make it.
Did you have anything in the bag, like anything that you were going to pull out in that final round? Like what would be your knockout punch?
Probably Aaron Gordon, the cock it behind the head, and Will Miller.
Yeah, that's a great guy to look up to from a dunk contest standpoint.
Yeah.
Let's get here. Funniest teammate.
Funniest teammate, probably between Max and Cam.
Okay. The last one here. Who's a player? And again, you weren't here with this group last year, but maybe somebody that the buzzer on the program is going to surprise people this year. Maybe a younger player, a freshman. Who do you think could surprise Badger fans this year?
The whole starting five, whoever start, and the bench, plus the bench.
I love that answer. Talk to me really quick. We'll finish up on the team here, and then I have a few more quick questions. How good can this team be this year?
I think we can be very good. I think, we only practiced for about a month and a half. I feel like as more as we get to know each other as a team and more we play up and down with each other, we're going to, chemistry's going to kick in and we can go as far as we want.
How long does that take as a transfer to come into a locker room and build that chemistry?
I think the chemistry is already there from over the summer. I wouldn't say it's 100% yet, but it's definitely close to 100%. Just need a couple more runs with the guys, fill everybody's games out. So it should be coming up very soon.
I love it. All right, we're going to come right back. We have just a few more questions for AJ Storr, who's being incredibly gracious with his time. We're going to talk about his recent trip with the Bahamas team playing against Kansas and some of the NBA players he was playing with, plus a youth camp he put on, which I'm really excited to talk to him about. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers with AJ Storr. But first, a very quick break for our friends of the show. Today's show is brought to you by this show is sponsored by Betterhelp. And therapy is something that can be incredibly beneficial. I've talked about my wife's a therapist, and it doesn't have to be a life crisis. It can just be you're stressed. It could be anxiety. It could be you have a lot going on. And BetterHelp is a way to help deal with decisions around your career, relationships, kids, families, wives, whatever it is. You can help move forward with confidence and excitement. Trust yourself to make decisions that align with your values. And the more you practice it, the easier it gets. It's a way to get a little support and a little bit of help in life. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time with no charges. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedoncollege today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedoncollege. All right, we're going to finish up here with AJ Storr. Again, really, really do appreciate the time. AJ, where can people follow? I have your Twitter account on here, Storr_AJ. Is there anywhere else people can follow your journey?
Instagram, the AJ Storr. Yeah, those two really it.
I want to talk a little bit about the Bahamas team that you were on, and that's a loaded team. By the way, I'm a Suns fan, so Ayton, Eric Gordon. I'm actually kind of just want to see what you think of their games. Buddy Hield was on that game. You guys played Kansas. You averaged 15 and 5. What was that experience like?
It was a great experience, going down to play with pros. They have much more experience than me in the game of basketball. So just picking their brains, getting to learn things on a higher level is, great to be in college, to learn that in college.
And I want to talk a little bit about one of the issues on last year's team a little bit was the inability to get to the free throw line. There wasn't a ton of it for the Badgers. In the first, I think it was the first exhibition game against Kansas, you did a great job getting to the line. I think that's an element of the game that you can help impact. You're a really good free throw shooter. How important is that for you, and how big of an emphasis is it this year?
Oh yeah, getting to that's free throws. It literally says it in the name. So anytime you can shoot free shots is just a good thing. Going downhill, trying to draw contact from the defender. And free throws are very important. We shoot a lot of them in practice. That's very important. Free throws win games, especially coming down to crunch time situations.
And I think that's an element to your game too. On the film, you're a pretty physical player, so you have to have some physicality to get into the paint and get to the line. Is that something you ever struggled with, or have you always been kind of willing to go in there and throw your body around?
Yeah, I played football. I stopped playing after freshman year, so yeah, physicality I don't have a problem with it. I love it.
Hey, let me ask you this, because you are 6'6", I think 6'7" now. With what's your vertical, if you don't mind me asking? High 30s?
42.
42. Gosh, it's
Well,
ridiculous.
that was last year. It might be a little higher now. I don't know.
I mean, did staying at football, maybe playing like a jumbo receiver / tight end with that vertical and that size, you ever in the back of your head think about that?
Yeah, but I don't know. College football is crazy. NFL is even crazier. So
Sure. I want to then shift over to here. Recently, you put together a youth camp, Sun Prairie, helping kind of mentor and teach skills. What was that like for you? And is that something you're going to plan on keep doing?
oh yeah, it was a blessing. Coming up as a kid, I always looked up to older players, older college players. So just being there for the kids, teaching them everything I can, and just giving them advice on the game of basketball is just a great thing. I always like helping the youth. So
That's awesome, man. And that's something, it sounds like that's something you want to keep doing as long as you're kind of be able to reach those lives.
yeah, definitely try to have an annual Storr camp every year.
That's awesome. A couple questions here from people. This one is favorite game you've ever played in your life? Going back to your AAU days, this is from Buckingham Palace. What's the favorite game you've ever played?
Favorite game? I'll probably say Georgetown and Madison Square Garden. Hit the buzzer beater on them. Pat Ewing.
I saw that clip. That was right. You were got a nice pass from who's the point guard there? Cabello?
Yeah, Corbello.
Yep. Let's go here. Let's see. Last one here. This Roll Buck. You wanted to specifically know what it was like playing with Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hill, he's a great player. High IQ, gets to his spots. Finds open teammates. Very detailed. Always telling players, to make their job easier. Say if they're coming off a curl, when a curl tight and get to your spot. So he's just a great-minded player, great scorer, great person too.
What's the worst game you've ever played that you can think of?
The worst game, freshman year, summer league, 0 points.
What? How do you respond? Because I'm always curious about this. You're a high-level athlete. You've had more good games than bad games, but how do you respond when you have a game like that? How do you respond?
Go straight to the gym.
I love it. What we talked basketball goals this year for the team. What are a few goals you have individually?
Be the best player I can. Just maximize my potential right now. Just keep working on my game, and just my goal is just to get up as many practice shots I can. So shoot thousands of shots every day.
Last question here, and again, really, really do appreciate your time, AJ.
Yep.
Any message for Badger fans that are getting excited for the basketball season coming here?
It's about to be showtime in 75 days, I think. Showtime. Just be ready to watch. Appreciate y'all's support, and thank you for having me here at Madison.
We can't wait, man. He is AJ Storr. Follow him, Storr_AJ. We'll put all of his social media up when we put the show out. Really, really do appreciate the time, AJ.
Yep, no problem, man.